The very first Nintendo Switch 2 Direct was earlier today, and of course, there was some Pokemon news, so I want to go ahead and talk about it. Now, if you want to see my full reaction to the entire Direct, there'll be a link that pops up like right here. Click that, you can watch it and see my full opinion, which, spoiler alert, I kind of thought it was a little mid, but there was some good news in there. But the thing I want to talk about is some of the information on the Pokemon games that we got for the Switch 2. One thing about Pokemon Legends ZA they showed is that the Switch 2 edition is going to have enhanced resolution and a higher frame rate. Now, obviously, it's a little hard to tell just based on the trailers because we're not actually playing the games, but the Switch 2 edition does look better. But don't worry, if you don't want to buy a Switch 2, the game will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch 1 or just the regular Nintendo Switch as well, because the Switch 2 is going to be releasing on June 5th with roughly the $450 price tag, which seems kind of what I expected. And we know that ZA is dropping at the end of the year, so it's probably safe to assume that they'll both just release at the same time. Now, I think if you have the Switch 2, probably just buy it there, right? Obviously, but if you don't, it will be releasing on the Switch as well. I think that the Switch 2 one looked pretty good. They showed like a very small trailer of the enhanced performance, but honestly, based on what they showed, I wasn't disappointed at all. I thought it was very cool, and I'm excited to see this better version. Or I feel like, at least personally, this is, I'm just speculating here, so there could be nothing behind this, but I would like to think they probably were making the game for Switch 2, considering it releases at the end of the year. But they also wanted to release a version for the regular Switch, because obviously not everybody's going to get a Switch 2 on release date. So obviously the ZA Switch 2 thing is cool, but the main reason I wanted to make this video is because in a very small, quick little flash segment about new games coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 Gamecube expansion, they showed off Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Colosseum. It's not a remake, it's just a port. I'll accept it, I guess. Now, if you have never played these games, I personally think they're pretty good. Now, I will say it's been forever since I've played them, but as I remember, they were really good. Now, they didn't show any gameplay. They literally just showed the logo flying across the screen. Now, one thing I'll say about these games is that they're like extremely linear. I feel like once you've played them, you kind of never need to play them again. Like, obviously, you could replay through Pokemon Heart Gold many a times, and like you could change up your team, you could go slightly different route, you could train up a different starter, etc. These games, you're kind of, it's like an on-rails game essentially. But since it's been like 20 years since I last played these, I'm so excited to replay them again. Now, I've talked about this before, but I feel like one of the reasons they never put the Pokemon games on the Switch Online is because you wouldn't be able to transfer your Pokemon into home. Now, I'm like 100% positive you're not going to be able to transfer your Shadow Lugia into home. And also, since these games are like super linear, the amount of Pokemon you even get to use is very limited, it feels like, which really just kind of goes into the whole aspect of it being not super replayable. But like I said, since it's been like 20 plus years, you know, I'm excited to play them again. But yeah, since you probably won't be able to transfer like Shadow Lugia or anything like that into home, I am slightly less excited, because it would be cool to have like that Lugia being kept with me. But really, I mostly just am excited to finally get to play these again. I have been waiting patiently for preferably a remake, but I'll accept the ports. Now, as far as I'm aware, they didn't mention anything anywhere about Scarlet and Violet getting a Switch 2 edition, which I kind of expected that. But realistically, at least in my brain, and like I said, I'm not like a game developer or anything, so I could be wrong, but I feel like it should run ever so slightly better on the Switch 2, just generally speaking. But I wouldn't get your hopes up for like a brand new Switch 2 edition where the frame rate is perfect. I'm not expecting that at all. But I do think it's really cool to see that ZA is getting a Switch 2 edition. I think it's awesome that Gale of Darkness and Colosseum are finally coming to the Switch 2. As much as I was like slightly underwhelmed about the whole Switch 2 Direct in general, I think that these things got me excited enough for the console where I am excited to play. And yeah, I realized like I'm gonna be buying a $450-ish console to play a 20-year-old game that I'm gonna have to pay for the online for, and then the Switch 2 edition of ZA. Yeah, I know, but I'll admit, I'm a Pokemon fan. Whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to make a really quick video talking about this before I had to go to work today. It's something I'm excited about. I'll definitely be live streaming and talking more about this tonight, the day of the upload, about it on my Twitch channel. But yeah, I guess, what do you think of the Nintendo 2 Direct? I know that this is mostly about the Pokemon stuff, but are you excited to play Gale of Darkness Colosseum for the first time or replay it? What are your thoughts about the ZA Switch 2 edition, which I think is like probably was the main platform they were making it for in general, because it looks, at least from what I can see in my eyes, it looks a lot better on the Switch 2. Not like incredibly different, but there are improvements. So yeah, real quick video talking about some of the new Pokemon stuff that was announced today. Obviously there was like no new info in the trailers, and like there was no gameplay of like Gale of Darkness and stuff, but it's just a port. So, but pretty much they're coming to the Switch 2, and I didn't expect it, really. I wasn't expecting it, so the fact that it happened, very, very cool. And also, I guess before I wrap it up, here's like my reactions. I absolutely popped off when I saw Gale of Darkness, so here's my reactions to end off the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Based on your preference and playstyle. Plus, Pokemon Legends ZA.
Wait, it looks so good!
This year will not only receive a Nintendo
Wait,
Switch
that actually
version,
looks so
but a
good!
Nintendo Switch 2 edition as well. By taking advantage of the power of Switch 2, you can enjoy your adventure in Lumio City with enhanced resolution and frame rates.
People are gonna be mad about it online, I already know, but that looks good.
The Nintendo Switch 2 edition games you just saw will be available as
them to your liking. More titles will be added in the
Gale of Darkness! Colosseum!
Nintendo Gamecube, Nintendo Classics, the Switch 2 exclusive game library coming to Nintendo
I'm
Switch
awake!
Online Plus expansion pack launches the same day as the hardware's release.
The same day?
And a dedicated controller designed